The Mimi Haley count, it's very serious. But as they said, you know the DA's office isn't going to look at it, isn't going to look at her and see whether she perjured herself, because we believe that she did. We're going to look into that and investigate it and see if that is something that could be brought up. Her cross-examination will be prepared for months, literally. And we are already starting, John Esposito, who is a former Manhattan assistant DA, he's already reading the transcripts. We're going to dice it, slice it, and make sure that the jury hears everything from the day they met until the day she cashed the check of the lawsuit. The check from the lawsuit that she swore under oath to these 12 jurors that she didn't want, and she wasn't going to get it. So she lied. She lied to those jurors, end quote. Accusing my client of lying under oath is a very serious allegation. And I agree with the district attorney that making such an allegation out of court, which I wish to emphasize is false, violates Rule 3.6 of the New York Rules of Professional Conduct, which govern the conduct of all lawyers who are licensed in New York. I find Mr. Aidala's conduct toward my client particularly egregious because he was involved in the appeal from Mr. Weinstein's conviction, which meant that Mr. Aidala had the trial transcript, including the cross-examination testimony of my client, and therefore he knew, or should have known, that as the district attorney stated in the letter, quote, Ms. Haley did not perjure herself, end quote. As the district attorney indicated in footnote 3 to the letter, when asked if she intended to sue the defendant, Mimi stated, quote, there's always the possibility, but I have no plans at this time, end quote. Mr. Aidala's false statements, name-calling and public bullying of my client in what appears to be an attempt to intimidate her are very serious. The New York Rules of Professional Responsibility specifically prohibit attacks on the reputation of a witness or expected testimony of a witness. Rule 3.6b1, New York Rules of Professional Conduct. Mimi has been very courageous throughout this unwarranted, vicious, and false attack on her. She still has not yet made her decision as to whether or not to testify again in this new trial. But she is very grateful to the district attorney who brought these attacks to the attention of the court. Prohibiting such attacks by the defense will not only benefit Mimi, but also it will help to protect other witnesses in the upcoming trial and ensure not only justice for Mimi if she testifies, but for all other prosecution witnesses in this case. Now, as I sat in court, I heard Mr. Aidala apologize to the court for what he said. I think it's long overdue for Mr. Aidala to retract his statements concerning Mimi and apologize to her as well. To this moment, that has not yet happened. So, I'm happy to take any questions. I have copies of the district attorney's letter. Okay, thank you. So, the letter.
Thank you.
Sure. And I have my statement. This is my statement.
Can we get a copy behind you?
Yeah. Thank you. This is the DA's letter. And this.
I get one of each. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, do you want to talk to me?
Yeah.
I have no idea what Philip.
Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic.
Please go to the mics.
Yeah, go to the mics. All right, guys. Guys, hand out the papers on the side.
Gentlemen, the microphones,
We
please.
need a spot. The mic. Give him the mic.
Gloria.
Hi.
Hi, Gloria. Hi, everybody.
One sec.
Why do I always have to?
I'm here.
It's annoying. You're gonna like look at me when you're close to me. That's not cool.
Okay.
So you need to
All right.
look at. You see how it reminds me of Diana?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Arthur Idala and Diana Fabi Sampson and Imran Ansari, and somewhere's John Esposito and Craig Rothfeld. We just left Harvey upstairs. He is appropriately concerned. Obviously, this is he wants things to move forward. Nobody's really happy about a July 8th date, but that was the date that accommodated everybody's schedule. The prosecutor handed over their discovery today. I believe they put on the record it was, what did they say, Diana? 800 gigabytes, which I think is a lot. I believe it's the entire transcript from the original trial and the trial from Los Angeles. We will roll up our sleeves and digest it all and prepare for trial. Quite frankly, we are ready for trial. Diana and I tried the first case, so we kind of know what's coming. I'm not going to get into. I don't know what Ms. Allred said. I'm not going to go there. The bottom line is, Mr. Weinstein is in very good spirits in terms of his desire to challenge all of the evidence, like every defendant does when they're on trial, and he really looks forward to the trial proceeding sooner than later. Obviously, we have to do our job in terms of reading the transcripts and seeing if there's any new discovery material and see if there's any motion practice that must be done, but we'll do that. With that being said, I'll just take any questions that anyone may have. Okay, good. There are no questions.
From what,
Hi, Marla.
Hi. From what Nicole Blumberg said, there are additional survivors that have come forward. And you also took offense to the word survivor in court. What did you tell Harvey about that? Did he accept that there might be more coming out in this trial?
Mr. Weinstein was in court when the prosecutor made all of their statements, so he heard it. He's confident that there will be no more complaining witnesses. That is the appropriate term. That's the courtroom term, complaining witnesses. He did not seem to be very concerned about that. He knows that he's never done anything like this, and this was all part of a long-term plan to get money, and many people in this case got money, including Ms. Allred, who I think she got 40% of everybody who she represented. So I know she's here as a victim's advocate, and unlike our office that represented Bridget Harris totally pro bono and laid money out to really do justice and not take a penny, I don't believe that's the same cloth of which Ms. Allred is cut from. But everybody puts their head on the pillow and sleeps as soundly as their conscience allows them to.
And can you please address Alvin Bragg and the court's letter that said that what you had said about Ms. Allred's client had a chilling effect on potential witnesses, and you should apologize to her client?
I don't believe the judge ever said anything about apologies. I don't believe the prosecutor ever said anything about apologies. So I am not going to apologize. The judge said what he wanted to say, what he needed to say, and of course I'm going to respect his decision and take it from there. What they asked for in the letter was to remind our firm of our ethical obligations, and in 32 years I've never needed to be reminded of my ethical obligations. Each and every member of our law firm are reminded of those obligations every single day since we took the oath. So we're not concerned about any of us violating any ethical laws whatsoever. I also think it was interesting that the prosecutor said that they don't have any surrogates, and yet day after day they have a surrogate who comes out here and addresses the media. But I'm not going to get into any of the facts of the case, except that Mr. Weinstein's one desire is to get to trial as soon as possible. He's been in jail he's going into his 5th year for a matter that the highest court of the state, no matter what anybody else says, the voices that matter say he got an unfair trial, not only in New York, but in the United States of America. And the knee-jerk reaction of the Senate of the state of New York is disgusting. Disgusting. That they have passed a law that they're calling in the hallways of the Capitol Harvey's Law. Now, there's Kendra's Law, there's Jennifer's Law. Those are laws to protect people. But in the United States of America, if we're going to start having laws to attack people, we are on the road to the end of the democracy as we know it. And the Assembly should be applauded for pausing and saying, we're not doing anything about this now. We are going to look at all of the Molyneux laws. We're going to look at all of the Sandoval laws, and then we will make a decision. No one should misunderstand what took place here. The people who threw 100+ years of law out the window was not the Court of Appeals. It was the trial judge 4 years and change ago. It was the Appellate Division, 5-0. They're the ones who threw 100-year-old precedent out the window, and it was the Court of Appeals who brought sanity back into the equation and said, in the state of New York, we're not going to convict people on rumors, on untested accusations, on accusations that go back decades that have never been reported to anyone. So the Court of Appeals should be commended, and the New York State Assembly should be commended for protecting the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of New York. Thank you, everybody.
Let's be clear about what the New York legislature was trying to do, including the Senate. It's about bringing back the opportunity to have Molyneux, also known as Me Too witnesses, in criminal cases and in civil cases. We have that in California as a statute, in other words, a law, and it can be used for propensity. There is no such law except interpretation of case law in New York. That needs to be changed. By the way, nobody asked him, well, why did you apologize to the court today for a violation of 3.6 rules of professional conduct if you didn't do anything wrong? Were you not being honest with the court with your apology, or did you mean it? And no court has to order someone to apologize to a person whom they have wrongfully accused of not telling the truth under oath. That's just a matter of common decency. And Arthur should know it. Maybe he needs the class in common decency. Why he's so threatened by me, I don't know. I'm only 5 foot tall. I do represent victims. He brings up my name more than he brings up his own name, which is, it's hard to really count, but that seems to be the case. So I feel if I'm a threat to Arthur Aidala and Mr. Weinstein, I accept that as a badge of honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, what were you trying to say to me when you were pointing out the drone?
There was a buzz in my audio. I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's the drone.
You also had an electrical cable laying over your audio, too, so there was also that. But, yeah.
That was live?
Yeah, but I got everything. Okay.
Holy crap, dude. Like, they thought she was speaking against Trump.
First it was Margaret, and then somebody said, that's not any Margaret that we know.